I'm Jim Johnson, WLS News. Stick around. A guy named Rabbi Doug claims he has a television program.
We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug on your TV tonight. But Daddy, I want to watch Monday Night Football.
Forget about Monday Night Football. There's no other thing we're going to watch on Monday but Rabbi Doug.
Yeah, Rabbi Doug on TV tonight. We're going to see Rabbi Doug. Oh, everybody talk about Doug.
Taped with Rabbi Doug. Glad you could join us. Today we have 3 segments on the show. We're going on location to Toronto, Ontario, Canada, where we're going to visit with Rabbi Norman Berlat. He is formerly the chaplain of Lutheran General Hospital in Park Ridge, Illinois, and also is a visiting professor of the Hebrew Theological College Jewish University of America in Skokie, Illinois. And we're going to talk to him about what he's doing up in Toronto. We're also going to see Rabbi Mitchell Cohen, a good friend of ours who moved from Chicago to London, Ontario, Canada. He's now the rabbi of Congregation Beth Tfilah there, and he's going to tell us why he moved and what he's doing there in Canada. And then we're going to go to Skokie, Illinois on location, where we're going to visit Old Orchard Shopping Center, the art fair there, and we're going to see a number of artists there, Jewish artists and secular artists. And then finally we're going to a funeral, the funeral of former Bears quarterback Sid Luckman, a very famous, important person in the Jewish community as well as to the Chicago Bears. And we hope you'll join us and be with us here on Taped with Rabbi Doug today. Location in Toronto, Canada. With me is a dear friend, former Chicagoan, Rabbi Norman Berlat. I want to welcome you to the show and thank you for talking with us today. Rabbi Berlat, we're here in Canada. You've been living here for a number of years now. Originally, of course, your Chicago connection is that you were the chaplain at Lutheran General Hospital in Park Ridge, Illinois. Can you tell me, what are you doing here in Toronto? I know you're doing chaplain work. Can you tell us about what your position is here?
Sure. I work actually down the block at Baycrest Center for Geriatric Care. I'm the director of pastoral care. My responsibilities cover a number of areas. Direct clinical chaplaincy. We have over 900 people who live at our center, and I have the responsibility of visitation and counseling. I also train students. I'm a supervisor in the clinical pastoral education stream in CPE. So I have a group of students every year as volunteer chaplains. I'm administratively responsible for my department, as well as consultation to ethics committees. I teach at the medical school in the area of bioethics, and occasionally I try to get some sleep.
So, like, it's very busy. It's always a pleasure to be in touch with you. I know you have so many things going on. You've also been summers teaching as a professor at the Jewish University of America and the Hebrew Theological College, and of course you've also done the ham radio classes there as well, and so much. Are you still involved with them?
Very much so. Although at times it's difficult to leave Toronto on specific schedules due to the nature of my work, but I'm very much involved with Jewish University. I continue to supervise doctoral and master's students, and we will be back in Chicago in November, teaching as well as offering the opportunity of those students who wish to come to Toronto at Baycrest for some clinical experience. I'm certainly open to do that. Actually, I missed the whole group in Skokie at the Shiva of the Graduate School. A lot of our dear friends in Chicago, we've been here 11 years now. 11 wonderful years, but we miss you all.
Well, we miss you too, and I know that so many people still often talk about you and ask if we've heard from you. There's so many people driving by today here. Toronto's a busy town. We're here on Bayhurst Avenue. This seems to be the heart of a Jewish community here. Is this really the real heart of the Orthodox community, or does it spread much further here in Toronto?
Actually, you're not only in the heart, but it continues up to Thornhill, about another 10 miles. And you're going through solid Jewish community. You are now standing on California and Devon. This is Toronto's equivalent.
I have been here now, as you say, for 11 years. Can you tell me, love for a Jewish community. Is there a strong connection between the Orthodox community in Toronto and like an Orthodox community which is so close-knit in West Rogers Park of Chicago, or the large type of community in New York? What would you really compare the Toronto community to while we're here?
This is a very unique community. In general, Toronto Jewry, as well as Canadian Jewry, is a generation closer to Europe. This is a very warm community, a very observant community, a lot of interaction. Yiddish is spoken in the streets. You'll see Hasidim who will come by. And on Shabbos, the little children will wear some Hasidic little caps. And there is absolute unity in our community. There's a strong emphasis on learning. Wherever you go, you can find the Daf Yomi, from early morning to late in the evening. So this is a very special, unique community. It's a community of 162,000 Jewish people. Many of the young people are in yeshivas and day schools. By proportion, probably it's one of the highest in North America. I can virtually be anywhere in the world and find my comfort level in Yiddishkeit as I do here in Toronto. When we came, we only had to make two slight adjustments. One was metrics, and the other was the mailboxes are red and not blue. Other than that, I can
Canadian
stand
dollar.
in California and Devon right now.
And the devalued Canadian dollar.
Yes, of course. That's exactly right. The Canadian dollar, we see the prices here are a little bit higher. Of course, the Canadian dollar is been devalued so much that right now I believe it's around a little over between $1.50 and $1.60 Canadian to an American dollar. So
It's funny, I hadn't noticed that. I haven't seen American dollars for a while.
yeah.
I'll show you one.
Dollars got bigger. Or something. Well, we were in the States in May for my nephew's last night.
Very nice.
So it was nice. But I want to send my regards to everyone in Toronto. Should be well. And Chicago. Right, Chicago. I got
You'll get the Toronto people in person and regards to the people in Chicago.
my very best to everyone, and I probably will not have an opportunity to greet you all before Rosh Hashanah, so I hope each and every one of you will have a Shana Tova Mitzvah, Shnat Chaim Oshek Shalom.
All right, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. It's a pleasure to visit you with you. You and I will, of course, keep in touch by email
We always
and
do.
speak often. But Toronto's a beautiful community. We're enjoying our vacation out here. And I just want to wish you a lot of hatzlacha, bracha, and gesund. You should have a healthy, good year, and you also should have a Shana Tova, Siva Tova, be well, a happy, healthy year. Still here on the streets of Toronto, and I'm here with Rabbi Mitchell Cohen, our friend Rabbi Mitchell Cohen. Now he has taken a position in London, Ontario. He's here in Toronto today also. I want to welcome you back to the show and say hello. And tell us a little bit about how things are going in London, Ontario as a rabbi of a congregation. What's the name of your congregation there?
Congregation is Congregation Beth Tefillah. We're established in 1966. It's going great. It's a different life from chaplaincy. I know when the last time I was on the show we spoke about pastoral care and the synagogue on wheels, but I migrated to the Great White North and no longer have a synagogue on wheels, but have one that's actually built into the ground.
Yes, absolutely true. Tell me, are you enjoying your little short vacation here in Toronto today?
Oh, my mini 3-hour break, yeah, it's going well. It's a great way to rest up and get ready for a long Shabbat weekend. One of the things I'm not used to because I'm out of chaplaincy is basically Monday to Friday job. Now you have to work on Saturdays. It's not a good job for a Jewish boy.
That's true. Tell me what I'm interested in right now in knowing is now that you're here in London, Ontario, I know London, though it does have a large Jewish community, doesn't have a real large Orthodox community. It has a quasi medium-sized Orthodox community. Thus, you don't have all the restaurants, all the bakeries like you had in Chicago, all these, you don't have 12 synagogues within a 6-block range. What is it like being in a small Jewish community? Do you come to Toronto often, and do you have to shop here?
We come to Toronto about once a month. we do a little bit of shopping, we try to eat out. Like you said, not having a kosher restaurant and not having a large kosher selection in a small community is a little bit difficult. It takes a little time to get used to. I'll tell you, the quality of the people and the level of respect that the entire community, not only the Orthodox community, but the other segments of the community, definitely makes it all worthwhile. We have ample supply of food coming into town. Around Pesach time, we had to do a little bit of shopping here in Toronto. I'm working very closely with the A&P, that's the local Dominex or Jewel type of store, to increase their level of kashrut availability. We have meat that comes in and they freeze for the consumers. On Thursdays, in fact, earlier today, spent a couple hours at the A&P in the fish market. They were cutting and filleting fish under rabbinic supervision. So there are things that are up and coming. One of my jobs here is to recreate the Lenavat HaKashrut, something that has not been in existence for a couple of years. We're trying to recreate it and gain some caterers who, albeit might not be Jewish and might not normally have kosher catering, but to have the appropriate kosher catering, and maybe even a deli might be coming.
Sort of something similar like a hotel which has non-kosher catering. They're not Jewish people, but the rabbi supervises, helps them put together a kosher catering operation is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Very nice, very nice. So you are the only Orthodox synagogue outside of possibly the Chabad house, which has students coming there on and off, or something like a Hillel, a student organization, because you have a university there. Being the only Orthodox synagogue in London, does that leave a lot more responsibility on you rather than someone who's like one of 7 Orthodox rabbis in a community of a synagogue?
Basically, the buck stops by me. Even a conservative community brings a lot of issues to me. The rabbi brings a lot of issues, and I work very closely with Rabbi Lander on behalf of our congregations and on behalf of the entire Jewish community of London. So a lot does come to my desk. Basically, anytime there's an unaffiliated person who needs a life cycle event, they would come to our synagogue and we would take care of it. So yeah, there is a tremendous amount of pressure, so to speak, on me. There's a lot of time spent outside of the actual walls of the synagogue, working with people, dealing with people. But it's a responsibility that my yeshiva really trained me and got me ready to do. And the 12 years of chaplaincy definitely prepared me for the position. I do a lot of counseling work within the synagogue. It's a little bit different. I'm used to going to the people, but the people generally come to me. However, due to my extensive experience and responsibilities back in Chicago, I was called this past week to go to a psychiatric hospital in a town about an hour away from London and counsel a Jewish client that they had absolutely no idea how to even speak to the person, what kosher food meant, because the person only kept kosher, and I was able to go out there. And I think a rabbi going to a small community without the background that I have in counseling and pastoral care would probably have a difficult time. And that's primarily why they call upon me as opposed to rabbis from other communities that might be as closer, if not closer no more.
We spoke earlier, and you were by our side with Rabbi Berlat, who we talked about this community here in Toronto, and talked about that there's about 10 miles of Jewish community just as you look down the streets here. Tell me, one of the things, of course, that's real important, and maybe people don't know this who are watching, is that there's a law that before you build a synagogue, you should build a mikveh, a ritual bath, so that family purity and Jewish law can be followed by families. What is the story in London? Is there a mikveh, and was it built before the synagogue, or what was the story with that?
Well, there is a mikveh in London. I believe it was built a year or two after the synagogue was built. The exact reason why it was done in that order, I'm not sure.
But you do have one there in the community.
So we have a kosher mikvah. As an Orthodox rabbi, I have a certain level of responsibility to make sure that the mikvah is operating. Primarily the Lubavitch Liach, the Lubavitch representative, Dr. Yitzchak Black, is an individual who handles the day-to-day affairs.
Very nice.
Of the mikvah.
Very nice.
And his wife would assist with the ladies.
Great. Well, I want to thank you again for being on the show. It's great to see you here in Toronto. It's a beautiful community. Canada is a beautiful place. And as we look around here and wish you much success in London, Ontario, we hope to see you in Chicago often. I know your family's there and you'll be there often. And hope to see you soon here again on the show. Thanks again, Rabbi Mitchell Cohen, for being with us, and a lot of hatzlacha, success in your position in London, Ontario, Canada. We're here at Old Orchard Shopping Center in Skokie, Illinois. We're here for the Old Orchard Center Fine Art Promenade Art Fair, and we're going to visit a bunch of artists, take a look at some Jewish art and some secular art today, and I know you'll find it very interesting, so stay with us. I'm here at the Old Orchard Art Fair with Sandy Weinstein, one of the artists here. Sandy, can you tell me, how long have you been an artist yourself? 25 years. And do you feel that you focus mostly on secular art or Jewish art?
I've just begun doing more Jewish art over the last year or two.
And I just am looking at some pieces right now. This one right here that I'm looking at, can you tell me a little bit about it?
Well, this one was inspired by my own kids being bat mitzvahed, so I got so many comments on people liking that I started doing that for other people's.
So people actually can come to you to do something with their own children's pictures and so on.
Whether it's for a bat mitzvah or any other occasion.
And this Jewish Star Memorial down here, did you base this on anything, or is it something you created from scratch?
Yeah, just something from scratch. I wanted to do something. I'd seen an exhibit about Auschwitz, and I wanted to do something about that, so I just created my own version.
Very nice. Your Jewish Star Arch, very, very nice. Your beautiful, beautiful work you have here.
Some more on the other side.
And we'll take a look over here.
This section here.
Israel art. Here we see, this is the Kotel, the Western Wall. Interesting how you did that in little blocks. Do you do much art like that, or is that something you
I do. Most of the work is all kind of experimental photography or digital art, depending on how you view it. And this is the 6 million Jews, another, Auschwitz. And there's Mount Sinai and the Shooting Star.
Very nice, very nice. What city are you based out of?
I'm out of Lincolnwood, Illinois.
Lincolnwood, Illinois. Very good. Well, I wish you much success, and thank you for being with us today. We hope to see you again soon. Here now with Enid Silverman, another artist and also a colleague of mine, because she also has her own cable show, Artist, also on TCI Cable. And Enid, welcome to the show.
I'm happy to be here, Rabbi.
I'm happy to be here too. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself while we take a look right now? I'm going to take a look first of all at this beautiful picture that says Shema Yisrael. Can you tell me what is the origin of this picture?
This is my original design for a stained glass window, one of 12, that depicts the holidays at Beth Israel.
Oh, very nice.
This is the exact window. Rosh Hashanah is the holiday, and we see the congregant blowing the shofar in front of the European art door, reminiscent of the Polish art doors that were hand-carved and then colored. And that's one of 12. The other holidays consist of starting with Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, going to Yom Kippur, etc., all through Tisha B'Av. In fact, this is the 12 windows, 10 of the 12. And we
kind of move along.
Purim, Hanukkah, etc., and I just really want to point out the hardest one to do, the most challenging, was Holocaust Day. But I love that window, and it's been one of my favorites, though I was almost paralyzed with the responsibility of creating something. I sold the reproduction of this here yesterday. When the woman saw it, she started to cry, and her husband said, if art moves you like that, you have to buy that.
Really? And these are on display. These are the stained glass windows at Beth Israel on Divine Avenue.
Right, that's right. There's 12 of them, and after these were done, there were still people who wanted to beautify the temple, and I was asked to make 2 tapestries. Again, I didn't cut the glass, I just designed it, and it's made under my supervision as these 2 8.5 by 10-foot tapestries.
How long have you been doing Jewish art? Now, I see everything here at the art fair. You have our paintings, and I see you do a lot of secular art and Jewish art. How long have you actually been doing Jewish art? And the second question I want you to follow up with that is, when did you get outside of painting and go into stained glass and things like that?
Okay, and as a painter, I always enjoyed an occasional Jewish still life, so I'd have the Sabbath table, or I'd paint a rabbi or a scribe. I always felt a joy of painting something with my roots. So that my typical work is more like this. Some people say it reminds them of the Impressionists. I love to paint faces and beautiful people in a beautiful situation. But 7 years ago, someone asked me would I like to design stained glass windows, and I thought, well, that's a wonderful challenge. And though I didn't know that much about stained glass, and certainly not enough about Judaism to etch it in glass, I started a long study program, and then it just flowed out of me, and I'm just so grateful that I had that opportunity to do stained glass. After H.E. Beth Israel, Lincoln would invite me. They have 17 windows already, and the most recent is this one I'm very proud of.
This is Lincolnwood Jewish Congregation on Crawford.
Crawford and Tui. You walk in the entry and you will see this huge window. It's just gorgeous. Ashes Kyle.
Beautiful.
Valor. That's the 31st proverb.
As we sing from the book of Proverbs every Friday night at the Sabbath table, a husband blesses his wife by singing the Ashes Chayil. This is beautiful.
And Rabbi, and the challenge was, if you read the proverb, she girdeth her loins and phrases like that. How does an artist do that graphically?
That's a really good question.
I figured that the woman lighting the Sabbath candles, and here's the Sabbath table. Here's the 3 rubies, her price is above. We have the memorial, her spirit lives on. The sign of femininity, and all the flowers also have meaning. The rainbow is God's covenant. And you can see the Hebrew and English is the last lines of the proverb.
Very nice. Everything having a real symbolism to it, not just for the beauty of the art, but the true symbol built in with it.
Right. Then I was asked by Hoffman Estates to do abstract art doors and sides, and even though they're very abstract and they're very gorgeous to me, there was still a concept. So though it looks like flowing lines, I see Mount Sinai, I see the light dawns on Virtuous and things like that.
Very, very nice. Enid, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. I wish you much success with your artwork and much success, of course, with your cable TV show. So we hope to see you on there soon. And thanks again for being with us here on Taped with Rabbi Doug.
Thank you very much, Rabbi. I'll be watching for you. Bye-bye.
Here with Mark Sijan at the art fair. Mark is probably not only one of the most talented artists, but one of the most talked about artists that comes here almost every year because everything he makes looks like it's alive. Mark, can you tell me, first of all, before any questions about how this artwork comes to be, how did you get into this kind of art?
Well, I've always been interested in the human figure, the human anatomy, as well as mankind, I guess, always interpreting human form, and so I've always achieved to, try to achieve total realism, ultra-realistic sculptures, and the pieces today I work at the skin sensitivity, the skin texture, skin coloring. These are all different techniques I've developed over the 32 years I've been an artist.
And can you tell me, I know a lot of people who are standing around here watching are wondering, how the heck do you make these? What are they made of? What is the process that goes into making something so realistic that almost if you didn't know that they were models, you'd think they were someone standing there?
Well, it's a combination of direct casting or life casts, modeling and sculpting.
Meaning that these are actually people's faces that you know?
Right, exactly. These are friends or relatives or neighbors and people I've met in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And once I start with that, which is probably about 10% of the process, referring to the direct casting, then I go back and do the modeling and sculpting, change the features, and put the different parts of the puzzle together. Maybe it's different, 5 to 12 different sections that I use.
These different artists, these different pieces of art that you've put together here, did you actually take people, what they did for a living, and create them, or did you kind of play with them into what you wanted them to be?
Not really. I use them as human anatomy as a start, and then the clothes or the props really come second. And they can be changed. The sculptures can't be. They're not Gumby. I can't really change the sculptures, but I could change the props, for instance, on a piece like this. And so a lot of the time I spend, that other 90% of the time is spent on the skin sensitivity and to make it believable internally or spiritually, if you will. And then that's something that just has to be felt. It's an intuitive kind of thing. Then there's a lot of time spent on the coloring. So I use artist oil paints, 000 brush. And there's at least 15 coats of paint that are put on. So the freckles, the moles, the veins, the little mosquito bites, all those things are put on with a very, very small brush, and to develop a certain amount of skin translucency.
Very interesting. Tell me, if we take one, let's look at our friend, the security guard here, who is always a favorite at the art fair. Can you tell me how long, if you went from start to finish, if he was the only one you were working on, how long would it take you from start to finish?
That's an average is about 6 months.
6 months. Very good.
Exactly.
Well, Mark, I want to take some more pictures of your art, but I want to thank you so much for being on the show, and I wish you much success. Some more art of Mark Sijan. Some beautiful pieces. You can see he's very popular. His booth is always crowded.
Rabbi Doug, we're here at the funeral of famous Chicago former quarterback Sid Luckman. So many people have come from throughout Chicago to be here to pay their final respects to Sid. So we're going to talk to some people and get some memories of the great quarterback from the Chicago Bears, the late Sid Luckman, of blessed memory.
I'll tell you Sid I saw you.
How are you, Chet?
Fine.
Sad event, huh? Chet Coppock. Brad Palmer of Channel 7. All here to say goodbye. Remember Jim Edgar? I know that Sid was a very good friend of yours, and very sad thing. If you could see him to say goodbye one last time, what do you think you would say to him?
What I always say, keep the faith.
All right. Very good. This is McCaskey. You knew Sid, of course, very well from your father, George Halas. Do you think, in your opinion, being with the Bears so long and having control of the team, do you think there has been anybody who quite had the style or the stamina of a Sid Luckman?
Of course not. Walter, Payton. But aside from that, it's a different whole world, isn't it?
Thank you so much, Virginia McCaskey, for being with us. I'm here with Irv Kupcinet on Taped with Rabbi Doug. Irv, if you could say goodbye to Sid Luckman, what would the last thing you would say to him be?
Goodbye, Sid.
See you soon.
Never changes. Yeah, Essie.
See you soon, Sid.
Yeah, well, hopefully not too soon. Hopefully not too soon, Essie. We wouldn't want that. But I got to tell you that I know he was one of your closest friends, and I know you'll miss him much. And I know that you and he, for we in the Jewish community, it's a great loss. He was a great, person who donated to so many different charities and helped so many different organizations, as you and your wife have done over the years. And such a great loss. Our condolences.
Nice interview you conducted with your show.
Our condolences to you and to your family and all your friends on this. All right, be well.
Thanks for joining us today. I also want to thank our guests and hope to see you next week here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. Bye-bye. Shalom.
It must be you to help me make it through my days and nights. It must be you to hold